But obviously, I'll sit with Football Manager open on the laptop with a movie on in the background. So I end up watching copious and copious amounts of shite films that no one's ever seen.
But you're not actually watching them. You're concentrated in Zurich and you're striving for the invincible season.
Invisible season's fucked. I've lost a couple. But this is where I end up getting in that circle of watching movies that I've seen multiple times. So I know I get slagged off on Moneyball. I've seen Moneyball copious amounts of times. I've watched John Wick 1, 2, 3, and 4 about 8 times as well, just because it's like that easy background noise in movies that I know what they're all about. I know what happens. I don't need to pay full attention to them, and it's a series of them.
Aye, so you can just chuck it on back to back. I mean, I was like that when I was younger, but I don't. I like to purposefully watch a film now and take the time to pay attention to it. But I see where you're coming from.
That's where you get different views on how people watch movies. You get morons like me that didn't even pay attention to what's going on. But
Well,
I don't.
you didn't. You must have paid attention to this one, though. There's loads of wee bits to pick up on today's movie, man. Loads of wee discussion points.
Well, let's reintroduce ourselves before we then talk about the movie. It has been a long time coming, and we do apologise for the lack of episodes that have been coming as of late. But welcome to another episode of Morons Review Movies.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell was supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron? Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Today, you have only got 2 morons today. Say today twice, that's a great start to the day. But we did decide very last minute that we were going to watch a movie that Daniel had chose. Daniel, what movie did we go for?
We went for Forrest Gump just because it's recently been added on Netflix, and I thought it would ease us back in quite nicely with an easy-to-watch classic.
I can't actually remember the last time I watched Forrest Gump.
Same. It's been a long, long time. But there
also,
there was a single bit I'd
bit.
forgotten.
It blew my mind a little bit that it came out in 1994.
Oh, I'm sure. I mentioned earlier that see the little bit with the floating feather that the camera follows about. Apparently, that was like some wonder the CGI at the time. That was like a big deal. Like
the CGI was quite decent though, because obviously it loops them into a lot of historical events.
Aye, meeting the president and it basically anything that happened in American culture throughout that time. He sort of had his fingers in every pie.
Well, for those of you that are listening that haven't seen Forrest Gump, which I'm sure will add up to exactly 1 being Burnsy. The movie is a history of the United States from the 50s to the 70s unfolds from the perspective of an Alabama man with an IQ of 75 who yearns to be reunited with his childhood sweetheart.
But by childhood sweetheart, you mean the villain of the movie?
Aye, the cretinous junkie.
She's a horrible bitch. Let's start off with that. Do you mean she is absolutely fucking horrible to him all the way through it. She's like technically his arch nemesis, I think. She's the bad guy in the film.
Let's start off this absolute classic, number 11 rated in IMDb Oscar winner. We're talking about the bitch of the movie.
She is a bitch the way, like, there's so many times she basically emotionally abuses this guy all the way through the movie, doesn't she? Like, pops up and into his life, sort of definitely gaslights him all the time. Like, he comes in and saves her quite a lot. And it's like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And it's like, oh, wait, but actually, I love you for all these things. And like, then she leads them on, and then she fucks off. And then she leads them on and fucks off. And then eventually she gets pregnant and then fucks off still again.
Do you know what, it's funny, I totally forgot that was a part of the movie. So when she writes him the letter and he goes and sees her again and she's like, well, that's my kid. I call him Forrest. I named him after his dad. I was like, that's fucking brutal. How many years is this kid? Like 4, 5, 6-year-old, and he's just been neglected having a parent because she decided to fuck off again.
Oh man! And then it's just so casual. Like, here, I'm going to dump all this emotional baggage on you straight away. There's your kid. Fucking have that, Forrest. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Did you
unbelievable.
clock who the kid was?
Is it Haley Joel Osment?
Yes.
Is that who it was? Very
Yeah.
young. That must be one of his very first appearances.
I had to say it, bit awkward, searching Forrest Gump kid. But I was like, I recognise that little boy from Sutton. I don't know what it was, but child star Haley. No, you're absolutely, you are bang on with that, because she is not likable at all. Like, from all the decisions that she makes, and put it out there, obviously she has a really tough upbringing, a horrible
Yes.
upbringing
Yes.
with a horrible dad. And she is essentially looking her whole life for a guy to treat her shit. Because you've got Forrest there, who's going to give her the world, loves her, will do absolutely everything to protect her, but she runs away and finds guys that will hit her and beat her and treat her like shit, get her into drugs. She was stripping, she was in magazines. Everything she was doing, she was like trying to find that horrible guy constantly.
And then, but then I don't think the contrast really is that Forrest is the nice guy. I think she doesn't want to be with him not because he's nice, but because he's so fucking thick. Do you know what I mean? Like, in reality, he's quite an endearing character to watch in a 2-hour movie, right? But could you imagine your whole life was sitting with him? Like, it would be a fucking nightmare. Like,
Is that not what Morons is?
aye, well, this is us. But I mean, I'm sure Ella will tell you it's a nightmare sitting with me as well. Like, it's just fucking. I don't know. I think is she taking advantage of him a wee bit because, like you said, he's got such a low IQ, and like everyone takes advantage of him all the way through the film, but he just sort of comes up roses, and like everything just comes up well for him. But it's like, here, do you want to be in the army? Or here, we're getting forced into this school. Or here, like everyone's just fucking using him. The American football team, like, oh, he can run. Let's just use him for everything we can use out of him. And she uses him as well. He just gets fucking everything sucked out of him by everybody. Like Lieutenant Dan's a cunt to him as well.
Oh, do you know? See, when I was watching this film at one point today, I was like, "What the fuck's actually going on here?" Like, I know this is showing you like all the different stages of America, and it's a bit more about American history from the point of
Aye.
his family being the leaders of the fucking KKK, to all the different touch points that I went through America, and I just felt like you couldn't remake this movie. You couldn't do this one again and it be as well done or be anywhere near as loved as it is, because
No, this is a one and done. Like, you can never do this again.
It would be such a satire movie, because I feel like it's constantly pointing jokes and having jokes at everything the whole time.
So do you mean they make it as in do it for more modern political events?
Yeah,
so like stuff. Okay.
If it was to be done now from fucking even 1980s onwards, end Forrest Gump there and then have it with his kid throughout for the next 50 years. It's obviously Tom Hanks is incredible in it, and it's really well done. But there's just a couple of points I'm like they're having a nod to Apple in there, and they're having a lot of American things that I didn't understand as well, which I wanted to ask. The thing with the hotel, is it Waterfront or Watergate?
The Watergate scandal.
Don't know it.
Yeah, Nixon did something bad, and they got found out at that hotel. And obviously the way the main gist of the story is that Forrest Gump's kind of manipulated history a wee bit. He's been involved in all these little things, including being the one that alerted them to the Watergate. But I would be lying if I knew anything about exactly what it is. Some sort of scandal where he got caught with some sort of fucking documents or some shit.
I'm just saying, I'm going to find all the touch points in it, because obviously it starts off really early where he shows Elvis how to dance.
Well, there's that. The one bit to start it off with, obviously the premise of the film is him sitting telling his own story to these strangers.
Yeah.
And like later on they become quite sort of enthralled with him and all that. But that first lassie, the nurse woman who talks about her shoes and that, she could not give two shits what he says from start to finish. Like, I'm just imagining him sitting there. This woman's no listening to him, and he's telling the story about how he came in these pants when Jenny got her tits out. Like, imagine telling that to a stranger, because you're meant to believe he's telling the stranger all these stories, eh?
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then we went back to her room, and then she put my hand on her tits and I fucking shot my load. Like, no wonder she was fucking desperate to get away. That's when he gave her the whole "life's like a box of chocolates" line to her. She never gave two shits.
Wasn't interested. So I'm just trying to look at some of the bits because there's a lot of us I didn't get. I don't know how many presidents that he meets. He's in that White House often enough. The ping pong thing as well, I thought was hilarious. Like, it's because he's getting told that he has to do something. Like, he gets told for Jenny that he has to run, so he runs, and that's all he does for a long, long time. Then he gets told he has to go, like you mentioned, he told he has to go to the army. He gets told he has to go and focus on ping pong, which is a bit of trivia I read earlier, actually, just dropping the now is, see with every scene that he's in ping pong, because he was told not to take his eye off the ball, he doesn't blink in any of the scenes that he's playing ping pong.
That's quite interesting. I quite like that.
It's funny because that's obviously like such small detail is something that they've made sure happens. Although every ball that was used in the ping pong was CGI.
CGI, I knew there was no chance he was ever doing that. So that's one of those facts that could go either way. It was either all CGI or Tom Hanks spent 6 months becoming a fucking expert ping pong player. But I'm quite disappointed it was the first one. But what I was going to say as well, see, instead of life being like a box of chocolates, life's like a box of beers. And I've got my delicious beer here from Beer 52, who hopefully still sponsors us. After all this time, it's been a while. But you can get yourself a delicious selection of beers for free. And what's the website that they go to, Kyle?
It's beer52.com. That's beer52.com/morons, spelled MORONS, for all those morons out there that can't spell. But go on there, get your free case of beer. All you do is pay for the delivery, and you will get some incredible worldwide craft beers.
Nailed that. That wasn't even planned.
It's like we've never been away.
I know, eh? We've lost a lot of our pals since we've been away, but apart from that...
Oh, but to be fair, we gave them 24 hours notice that we were going to start recording another episode. These guys have got lives.
The thing is, we'll just do it every week, so whoever's available comes in, and then you'll get a different selection of morons every week.
What a fucking scary thought.
Oh, man. But I mean, Forrest Gump, talk about morons. Forrest Gump's pal in the army, one of my favourite characters in a film. Like, he's fucking hilarious. I think. See the two of them as like two just big fucking dumb idiots in the army together. That I find really funny.
It's when Lieutenant Dan tells him to tuck his lip in.
Like, what's he supposed to do? It's so funny, man. And then see when he's just giving them the big list of all the things that you can eat with shrimp, like shrimp sandwich, shrimp cocktail, like, and they're doing all the wee chores. So eventually just goes, that's it. I just find that really funny, man. But this has spawned a lot of memes as well, I've noticed. Like, there's the Tom Hanks wave,
yeah,
which I really liked, when he jumps off the boat.
The drill sergeant one, I'll do whatever you say, I do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant.
Best answer he's ever heard. I suppose we're going to praise this film a lot because it's a good film, right? It's solid. I've never known anyone not to enjoy the film, right? But it does, see, when you watch it back, it does spread itself a wee bit thin at times. Like, I think I could have done with a couple of bits no being bothered about, and then getting a wee bit more about, like, maybe more about him running or more about him playing ping pong, and just, like, fill those out a wee bit. Maybe a bit more of the Vietnam stuff, because it felt a wee bit like you got, like, 15 to 20 minutes of a Vietnam movie, and then it just shifted onto something else, and then it shifts onto something else, and it sort of runs through it quite quickly, I think.
But it's also, what's interesting when you saying that is the movie's 2 hours and 22 minutes long. So it's an incredibly long movie, and some morons would look at that and say, I'm not watching that, that's too long. But it's a lot of small things smashed in together. Like the American football one. So let's run through it, right? So you've got the spinal coverage that he's got. He can't walk properly. He has to get his legs fixed, and he fixes them by running.
Fixes him by running, and then he can't get into school because he's IQ, so he's more Shags the headmaster. Which is one of those moments that when I was young, when I watched this for the first time, I didn't understand.
Oh my god, wait. The scene when the school teacher walks out and he says to him, "Well, your mum must really want you, really care about your education." And Forrest Gump just looks at him and he goes,
And that made him seem like he had properly something wrong with him, whereas he didn't act like that at any other point in the film. Like, it was a bit weird. Before we move on, I don't know if it'll be in your trivia, but I saw an interview with Tom Hanks about where they came up with the voice for Forrest Gump. And apparently it was when he went and met the child actor, and that was just what the child actor sounded like. So he was like, instead of making him change, he would just copy that as him as an adult, which I found quite interesting. Like, the wee guy was good.
Yeah. No, he was good. So then he goes from there to school, then he goes to college, and he's getting bullied, so he's just running away from his bullies. Straight across the middle of the American football match, as you would, and that gets you called up.
Yeah, that was enough.
Zero skill, but the head coach sees you run really fast and think, we'll have you. Then that makes him an All-American. He becomes one of the best players there. Doesn't go into the NFL or anything like that, but he's just one of the best players there. Then he graduates with a degree because he can run really fast.
I wonder what he got his degree in.
I'll search. So he Forrest Gump degree.
I doubt that information. In fact, this was a book first, so I'm assuming it must have been covered in the book what he got his degree in.
Oh, and it says here, in the novel, Forrest flunks out of university after one semester. Fucking hell, I flunked. With a failing grade in remedial English and an F in PE.
Well, that's a better story. See, I wonder how many things have changed then, because that seems like quite a big detail.
Yeah, but it'll be a fucking sporting thing. So then he gets that, and then he goes straight to the army, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he saves everybody's life in the army.
Gets a Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
Back to the White House again.
Back to the White House, but then we've got the ping pong world champion in there.
Yep. And then that's when he meets John Lennon and tells him the lyrics for Imagine.
That's it.
It is outrageous. It's fucking. It must be it's an interesting concept because the guy that's written it can obviously just pick and choose all his wee favourite moments for history, and there's the ones that he's involved in and the ones that he just gives a nod to. Like, so when he meets Kennedy, he then goes, "Oh, someone shot that nice man," like later down the line, and then you're still getting wee bits of other stuff. Sorry, you were going through the timeline. So after the ping pong.
Oh, don't worry, I'm just trying to do it from memory here. So he does the ping pong. He talks about being the first American to go to China in a million years or something like that, he says.
And then he becomes a shrimp boat captain.
Gets a shrimp.
But in between he has his wild night with Lieutenant Dan, where they have their crazy night out and the two hookers come back. Were they hookers? Or were they just...
Listen,
Lieutenant
one of them
Dan's...
not getting the legs and the other one's not getting the brains. I'm going to assume so.
Aye, it was... and then... You get another sort of awkward sexual encounter for Forrest, which happens quite a few times throughout this movie. I could do without that, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
I didn't really need to see Forrest in weird, awkward sexual encounters. I think the movie would have been just fine without that.
So after that's Nixon in the Watergate Hotel.
And that's because of the ping pong stuff that he got to meet Nixon. And then Bubba Gump Shrimp. That becomes the biggest fucking shrimp company in the world or whatever after the storm.
Aye, because it's through a hurricane that they're going through. Yep. Then they have a monopoly in the shrimp industry and make a lot of money. He then buys shares in Apple.
And then Jenny comes back and fucks him over again.
And his mum's died in between that as well.
Of course she does. Poor Sally Field.
Then
she must be about the same age as Tom Hanks in this film. But she plays his mom.
It's so funny because every time I feel like I look at a movie, Sally Field has been in it.
She's in a lot of stuff. She's pretty good, Sally Field. Like, she always plays a nag. She's always nagging, isn't she?
But what makes me laugh is like when he opens his letter, he's like, "Yeah, I was advised to invest money in this fruit company." That done quite well.
She makes him be in the advert for Chairman Mao's ping pong bats, which I found hilarious.
Because that's how he gets his money to get his shrimp, is because his mum makes him go to that advert. He then builds a medical centre and funds a church with all his money because he just wants to cut grass at that point. He's just going around the wee lawnmower cutting grass.
It just shows you, though, sometimes if you've got simple expectations, you probably have a happier life and good things will happen to you.
Then he clocks Elvis dies. That comes up at one point. Then he gets his letter for Jenny. Whilst watching the Ronald Reagan attempted assassination. He's on the bench. Jenny comes in, fucks him over. Jenny dies, thankfully.
Oh, thank fuck. And then she finally died. But then she got everything she wanted, and like, I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like she just puts a little bitter taste in your mouth in this film. And I'm not sure if that's how it was intended. Are you meant to hate her? Like, because
you wouldn't think so.
No, like I think you're supposed to be rooting for them to get together in the end, and like I'm just not. I'm wanting him to tell her to fuck off. I know she obviously had a difficult start and all that, but she's a total fucking cow. No having it.
That's why I messaged in the group chat earlier today, and I was like, I'm 23 minutes into the movie, and the two subjects that had been covered was the KKK and child abuse. It's like, what the fuck? This is not the Forrest Gump that I remember.
Aye, it's still a light-hearted family movie, but it does cover quite a lot of dark subjects, doesn't it? And like even things like he's at a Black Panther party, and he's like he gets in a fight, and he's like, "I'm sorry for messing up your Black Panther party," which I found really funny as well. So like it sort of goes in this wee line where it's kind of like outrageous comedy at times, but it's not really presented like that. Like it's funny if you really think about it at times.
But if you listen back to the timeline of events that we've just given you that happened, this 2-hour Oscar-winning top 10 movie for everybody, you'd be like, that sounds fucking wank. But it just seems to work. Like you seem to be excited and rooting for Forrest the whole way through it. Like when he opens that letter for you and he's got your shares in Apple, you're buzzing for him because you knew he's just made an absolute fortune.
He doesn't care. Doesn't care. I think a lot of that comes down to Tom Hanks and how fucking good he is, though. Like Tom Hanks is unbelievable in this.
So
did he win the Oscar for this? Actually, I don't think he did.
Yes,
he did. Cool.
Yeah, Oscar winner for Best Actor. So the Oscars were Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Writing on a Screenplay based on material previously produced or published. Why is that a category?
Best film based on a book, it should be.
Best Film Editing, Best Effects for visual effects as well. So 6 Oscars in total.
It's pretty good going. Like, and the music's good as well. I'm surprised the music didn't win it in.
The scene where he's at the Vietnam rally in Washington.
Aye.
And the microphone gets plugged and nobody knows what he says. So I've got it here. According to Tom Hanks, he said, sometimes when people go to Vietnam, they go home to their mamas without any legs. Sometimes they don't go home at all. That's a bad thing. And that's all I've got to say about it.
Oh, that's pretty profound.
Which is funny because that you can hear it coming out of his mouth like that. It's very to the point, it's very literal. He's thinking about 2 people in particular, and that's it. That's a war to him.
Aye, that was it. Cause everything, the way his mind works, is just like what's directly in front of him, and that's just how he seems to live his life. Like even when he goes and running across America back and forth for 2 or 3 years or whatever he's doing that for, it's just because he's just focused on the one thing in front of him, which is to run to the next step. I think that's just what the whole character's about. Just deal with the next thing that's in front of you and just fucking do it. And he just plows his way through life like that.
Because you also get one of the opening American football seasons. He's just standing there. He's not even looking at anything that's going on, and the other player has to come up and put the ball in his hands and tell him to run. Like he had no concept of what else was happening in there. It's so funny because it's so good and it's such an enjoyable 2 and a bit hours of a movie to watch. So for the morons like Burnsy that probably haven't seen this and that could be listening, please watch it because it's hard to not like it. Other than not liking Jenny, there isn't much that you dislike about it.
Aye, and even though I don't like it, it's not a negative about the film. I quite like the fact that there's a bit of a bitch evil character. It's just a bit interesting that to find out if everyone sees her that way. But like most of them turn around towards him after time. Like Lieutenant Dan fucking hates him at first.
Yeah.
And then he's quite mean to him all the time, but then one of them calls him stupid, one of those 2 lassies calls him stupid, and then suddenly he jumps to his defence. It's like only he can call him stupid, if you know what I mean. He's my fucking idiot. But then later on he's really grateful, and I think Forrest Gump sort of touches everyone's lives in this nice way. It is a bit weird where the whole film is being narrated to you from this bench, and then after that he gets up and runs away. So now you're sort of in real time. Mm-hmm. But then it's still like he's telling you the story. I kind of feel like they kind of could have done that a wee bit better, that sort of transition, or had him sitting telling you the story from later on in the story, so he tells you the whole thing rather than sitting on that bench, which I suppose is one of the endearing moments of the film, I suppose.
The only bit from the movie I could have really done without that I just didn't see much point in is the 3 years of running.
Aye.
He gets scruffy, he runs a lot. They shoehorned in so many little nods to stuff. The smiley face T-shirt got
That was
shoehorned
shit.
in.
Aye, that was shit.
The bumper sticker saying shit happens. They were just forcing things.
I was supposed to believe that there's one guy who's got like the copyright for every time a bumper sticker says shit happens, because I don't believe that to be like. There's no way. Do you know what I mean the one guy can own the words shit happens for bumper stickers?
But then
That's
it's
obviously...
like you just wonder, like, would this guy be more like, would Forrest Gump be more famous than what he was if he's influencing all these things? And at this point, he's earned how much gazillions, as he called it?
I suppose, and then he does say that he was like one of the most famous people going after the ping pong thing, and then no one remembers him. Does Forrest Gump really exist? Maybe that's what this is all about. Haley Joel Osment's there because they're all ghosts.
Well, I've just searched there to see. It took me a second because I was typing while you said that. It took me a second to clock that. So if you've never seen Sixth Sense, guy,
Spoiler.
You can spoil shit when it's this long. Forrest Gump's 3% stake in Apple today would be worth $90 billion.
Wow, he's done pretty well then.
So who was it that advised him to buy those stocks again?
Lieutenant Dan just did it for them. Lieutenant Dan was in charge of the money.
Amazing.
So, got lucky.
Amazing.
That's one of the things you would do if you could go back in time, rather than try and bet on stuff. Just buy a wee bit of shares in something you know is going to be massive.
Have you ever seen the movie Hot Tub Time Machine?
Maybe once when it came out. Maybe.
So
is that the it's not as a narrative of the film.
Basically, there's one part from that I can remember that they obviously go back in time in this hot tub, and one of them decides not to come back to the future with everyone else, and then they meet that guy in present day time, and he's the creator of Lugal. He changed Google. His name is Lou. I should have told you that.
Right.
And Google was now Lugal, and he had created it. He was a multi-billionaire, so he'd taking the advantage.
That's one of the things where the time loop movies kind of come unstuck. I'm sure Hot Tub Time Machine didn't take itself too seriously, but surely that would be in a branch universe, like, because it would have changed so much about history that when they went back to meet him, surely that guy wouldn't have just appeared in their own present. That would be fucked up.
Do you know what's funny? Just talking about time travel movies. So I've been watching Stranger Things again for the first time in a long time. Right, love Stranger Things, but there's a part in it where the two of the kids go to the cinema and it's Back to the Future that's playing. Right, and they talk about, was that guy's mum? Was he trying to bang his mum? Like, that was his mum that he fancied, and they have a discussion in Stranger Things that we've had when we reviewed Back to the Future.
See, they've been listening. That's it. We are now penetrating pop culture. That's what's happened. So, I mean,
yeah.
The 42 people that listen to us on a regular basis.
Yeah, we influenced Stranger Things. It probably came out years before we'd even decided to do Morons. But yeah, that being the synopsis for that.
I went to see the stage musical of Back to the Future with Ella and her family. And they don't change it. It still is a creepy, fucking weird film about almost shagging your ma.
Speaking of creepy, weird films, I watched a movie recently called The Circle.
Right.
Have you seen this? Have you
heard of it?
But
has it also got Tom Hanks in it?
No. This is this. I'm just gonna get the that I think I don't know what that one is, but I have seen there's another one called The Circle that's quite big. This one is basically like a game show essentially, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. Where there's just 100 people in a circle, and you have to vote for who you want to die, and they just get shot and killed in the circle, and it's so fucking strange. But was it dubbed? I can't even remember. I didn't pay that much attention to it. But it's utter shite. But I found myself so eager to work out what it was all about come the end. So you're
So
in
does
a
the person that's left at the end win something?
they just stay alive, yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So yeah, I'll tell you what happens. Please never watch it because it is garbage. But the person at the end just walks out and stands in the middle of the road with a bunch of other people watching a spaceship fly away.
So like aliens have come down and put them against each other to try and decrease the population or something. Is that kind of meant to be?
Yeah, so it says here, held captive and faced with imminent executions, 50 strangers are forced to choose one person among them who deserves to live. So, yeah, you've got like a minute between rounds, and you just have to, you've got a little vote that you put on someone. Nobody else can see who you're voting for, and you just move your hand and it votes for them. Whoever gets the most votes dies. And then you hear, they all start trying to work out what everybody's job was, what do they do, how important are they, like, they rally. A couple of the young ones that were a bit louder rallied around and were like, right, hands up if you're over 60. And all these people with their hands up was like, cool, they all go next.
That's shows how much you've got to give anymore. Does Anne Robinson stand in the middle and say you're the weakest link, goodbye when they all die? 'Cause that's what it sounds like.
I've just remembered how the last bit gets decided. This is a bit grim actually. So there's a young lassie about 10, and then there's a pregnant lady. So what do you think happens?
So there's a young kid at 10 years old and a pregnant lady are the last two.
And a guy, the last 3.
Right, well, the guy's got to go. I'm assuming the guy ends up winning it because that's going against what you would expect. Why is that? Because he votes smartly.
So the way the voting works is it's obviously majority votes. So they vote and then the wee girl dies. And then it's just the guy and the pregnant lassie. And then the pregnant lassie dies. I can't even remember how that comes around.
Hi, well, I was going to say, surely that's an important plot point that you
I can't remember. But it turns out that the guy's no one and the vote's still going on. There's like he's only one left standing. It's because the baby's got a vote.
Oh, God. So for that to work then, because you'd have a 2-1 majority, the baby must have voted for its own ma to die.
Must have. But then this, I don't know what happens, but then the baby dies and then the guy walks out and wins. Honestly, it's what's even rated? It's rated a 6 on IMDb actually.
That's pretty poor though. I know that anything below like in the low 60s and below is usually pretty garbage for what you see in IMDb. Like there's not many stuff that you see down in like the 3s and 4s and 2s and shit like that, like we do. Do you mean nobody's as honest as us? People kind of like garbage sometimes.
But say, is Mega Shark versus Colossus in at that low level?
No, I'm sure that was like a 2 or something like that. That was horrifically low. So I'm sure when you created our little leaderboard on IMDb and it gave you the actual scores next to our scores, that was fucking down there. Like
2.7. I'm trying to think if I've watched anything. Like I've just been watching so much like shitty TV series. I don't think I've been watching many movies.
Same. I've been watching the second season of Invincible. Have you ever watched Invincible?
Is that the cartoon one?
Aye, it's fucking brilliant, by the way.
I watched the first season.
Right, aye, so same. I watched the first season. I didn't know that the second season had even come out. I discovered it the other day, so I'm halfway through that. I am very much enjoying it. It's good. And then we've got The Boys coming soon.
I've not seen the recent season of The Boys.
Oh, you know, it's fucking good, like, still good.
Do you know what it is, though? It's my usual downfall for this kind of shit is I can't just go in and watch that season. I need to go back and watch the first season. And then I watched the first episode, then I was like, oh, I remember everything that happens here. Like, I'll just know bother. And then I started watching something else.
Aye. No, I'd say for the new season coming out, it's well worth getting caught up because it's going to be excellent, isn't it? It always is. My sound disappeared there.
No, you're still here. Don't worry.
Sound.
You're still here. No, I definitely need to see that. I see they announced, and I don't know if you ever watched the series, but they announced yesterday that there's going to be a Peaky Blinders movie, Netflix direct.
Yeah, and again, this is like a mental blind spot I've got for taste. Like, I don't really like British crime stuff. Like, I just find it a wee bit cringy. Like, And I'm sure there's loads of hard folk for Birmingham, right? But in my mind, folk for Birmingham are nae hard. Sorry if you're for Birmingham, right? Come up and gaze a fight if you want. But
Because Daniel's well known for being solid.
exactly. We're going way back to the Aussie soon. Actually, the location of my most recent almost fight, where that guy tried to jump over the fence and get me.
Where's my invite for Rossi?
You're coming in, you know?
When's this?
Did you? Oh no! I feel like that monkey meme. It's like, oh no, oh no.
I've been excluded from an invite to some. I don't know anything about it.
It's Neely's dad's day out.
Nope, not being invited.
You need to chin Dave.
Unacceptable. When he's gone?
A week on Sunday, day after Clash at the Castle.
Oh, shocking! I've not even been invited.
Well, you're invited up to mine for Clash at the Castle anyway, so at least you can do that.
I hope you feel guilty now, Daniel. I hope you feel guilty. Just to sidebar that, tell you something that I've been watching that I've been really enjoying. Afterlife.
So I only ever watched the first season. I've actually never gone back to it. It's a bit heavy, I think, for more than one season. But is it good as it carries on?
It's season 2. I'm in season 3 now. It's obviously not as funny because you're starting to expect the same type of humour. But season 1, I was honestly poorless at most episodes. The scene where they're going to the old man's house, who is in the newspaper because he's got 5 of the same birthday card, absolutely kills me, the concept of that first. But the guy that he's at the door with, the wee photographer guy, farts.
Simple things.
So it's dead simple. Ricky Gervais is calling him a disgusting bastard. Like, leave that pig at the door, don't let him in here.
No, I loved season 1. I thought it was good.
But yeah, right. It does get super heavy. So like you start getting into the characters of all the other people and their problems, and Ricky Gervais is there to support and help them. He becomes more of a therapist for them than he does dealing with his own stuff, because he's dealt with his own stuff in season 1. But his humour came from his depression at the start.
Aye, no, you could tell that. Like, it's he's obviously always been quite a dark human being, and I think his partner was dark with him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's just sort of left on his own. But I very much enjoyed the first season. I've never had much interest in seeing more of that sort of depressive stuff. It was nice for one, but that's about it. You watched Baby Reindeer, didn't you? You got a good review for me for that.
Yes. So Baby Reindeer, we've been awaiting Daniel's review for Baby Reindeer for a month or two now, for however long it's been out.
I've been busy.
It'll be along any day now for the Baby Reindeer.
I think the moment's come and gone, so I think this is us starting afresh now. So I'm clearing off my docket. I've got no more tasks, and we're just starting from now. So what did you think about Baby Reindeer, though?
I think it's a lot more fiction than it is fact from watching it. Like, this obviously, this lassie's getting portrayed in a certain way for this guy. It wasn't as good as what it was getting raved on about. It was just weird. I think the idea of it was better than the execution.
Aye. I think if Richard Gadd didn't star in it, because he's a annoying guy that's a shit actor.
Yeah.
If they had that good actor playing the part, because I think the concept of what's happened to him and all the stuff is quite interesting to watch. And seeing that woman being interviewed by fucking dickface Piers Morgan, she's fucking definitely equally as mental as she was portrayed. Like, she's fucking insane. I
just think like it's a strange one, because obviously this Richard Gadd has some horrible things happen to him, right? And he's not quite as much of a dick as Jenny for Forrest Gump, but he's a dick, and he does lead this lassie on from what his point of view for the story is for every episode. He keeps going back to her, he keeps flirting with her, he keeps engaging with her, he followed her to her house. He realised that she was nowhere near what she was claiming to be, but he played along and kept her on the hook the whole time. Like, I assumed this was just all about one joke to him, that he was like creating content for his shitey stand-up that he was doing, and he was going to use her for it. Then I realised it was going to go to the point where she did stalk the shit out of him. Which,
aye, That was a bit where I feel like it is a wee bit disingenuous, because I feel like to a certain point it probably was true that he got put to his breaking point, and he probably did have a bit of a breakdown when he was doing his stand-up, right? But then that's what got my attention, and I think in the real life Richard Gadd that you see being interviewed in that, the same thing as this, he's milking the, oh shit, if I'm talking about bad things that have happened to me, folk are going to pay attention and that's going to be successful. And I suppose he is quite open about that, because even in the show he goes back to the guy that abused him because he's so desperate for success that even the guy that abused him, he's happy to go back and get his help again, I suppose, to try and
But
kick off his career.
the lassie's interview with Piers Morgan is a shitload more interesting than the show was.
I just wish Piers Morgan wasn't such a bad interviewer. Like, you could have got so much more. See if Louis Theroux was sitting across where, fuck me, man. He would have take her walls down and let her think that she trusted him, and then she would just start blunting everything out and being honest about things. That's why Louis Theroux is a fucking genius.
Yeah, she just obviously she slipped up on her own lies constantly. She was in such a rush to try and protect herself that she didn't have her lies set straight of what they were going to be. Like, she had what, 6 phones at one point. She was running 8 email addresses, and
but she only sent him between 4 and 6 emails.
And then when it was a question, like, and to be fair to Piers Morgan at this point, he was calling her bluffing a lot of stuff. So it was like, all right, okay, so you're saying that, so if we did a lie detector, you'd be okay with that? Yeah. Well, actually, no, I'm not. I'd have to think about that. Right, okay. Are you worried that the phones will get found and they'll get checked, or you won't find them?
I mean, they don't exist. Do you know what I mean? Like, she would always be. It was little things like that she was doing all the time, but. She is a bit mentally. She is just fucking insane, and I feel bad now that it's just a mentally unwell person being exploited, much like Forrest Gump, who's a mentally unwell person being exploited for a full movie.
There we go. Fucking full circle there, Daniel.
Full circle, I know, man. Professionals, eh?
But I'm not ready to end the episode yet. There's one more movie that I've watched recently that I really, really liked, and I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, I want you to watch it at some point.
Right.
We'll have a catch up about it, because I didn't even know this was a thing. It's a movie called The Founder.
I've seen that at McDonald's.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
Brilliant.
Honestly, it was brilliant. I was so engrossed with this film.
Aye, Michael Keaton's very good. Like,
I didn't realise like how fucking corrupt it was.
Aye, of course it is. I mean, it's McDonald's. Like, there must have been. And obviously, it was interesting to see how it all came about, but there must have been something in the history somewhere where they went from local burger chain to mass, let's fucking take over the world. And there's that guy in his fucking weird drive to do everything. So obviously the reason for it. But no, it's a good film, like, very good film.
Took a dodgy salesman to change the world.
Because what was he selling initially? Ice cream machines or milkshake machines or something?
Anything he could sell. He was trying to sell anything and everything. But it's interesting that for me, it was just one guy seeing a vision of this is what everything needs to be. And then you had the guys that had created it that were just happy.
Aye, happy just having their own one wee place.
Happy, they had full control. There was nothing to worry about. They tried the expansion before, but they couldn't control it. They just had to have someone else go and run with it. But it's the naivety of it for these two guys in McDonald's of no getting a contract, no getting the patents, no keeping in control of it, just letting someone else rip it entirely. So I quite like the ballsiness of the boy. I can't remember his name, but the Michael Keaton's character who just fucking ran with it and took the lot from them.
And I think that's probably quite common in a lot of businesses, like that. Whoever's the actual guy that came up with it, very few and far between is the one that sees it through. I think a lot of businesses get taken off people for what they feel like a huge amount of money at the time, but then later down the line they're like, fuck, like I've absolutely fucked that, lost all that money.
You always get it with like early investors and big companies that like sell out their money for a couple of grand at the very, very start, and then it goes and fucking hits huge heights.
It's like the equivalent of taking the cash out on a massive bet, but then it all comes in. Same sort of idea, do you know what I mean? And it's like the guy, the main actor in Jaws, what's his name, Ron Schneider. He thought the film was going to be garbage, and he got offered. I think his fee for the film was only like 50 grand or 100 grand or something like that. But he was offered that or a percentage of the future revenue and he took the fucking $100,000 or whatever and missed out on fucking millions. That's still making money now, like fucking Universal Studios rides and all that.
There's the Matt Damon one that he talks about with Avatar.
Avatar, exactly, man. That
He
imagine
was
that.
offered like he was going to get like 10%
Fucking insane.
for a very small part and just didn't.
And instead, they just got a guy that was just a wee bit just like Matt Damon, but not quite Matt Damon. And that part usually goes to Mark Wahlberg, so he must have not been available.
He was maybe busy that day. You get that guy that Nathan can ever remember his name, who was meant to be the next big action star.
Is that Matt Damon light?
But he went into Terminator, did he not?
The shite Terminators.
Yes.
The terrible ones.
Yeah, I did read something, I can't quite find it, where it talked about with this movie for Forrest Gump, is that the budget, they didn't have enough for the budget. So Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks traded in their fee for percentage.
Ah, okay. Smart.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but they had made like, it was something stupid like 40 million more than what they would have got anywhere near because they took a percentage.
Aye, because it's a huge, like, it's a pop culture movie. Like, so what I want to know actually, Bubba Gump Shrimp is a real restaurant you can go to. Like, I noticed it when I was in New York and that. Did that exist? Is that one of the things in the movie like Apple, where they've used an existing thing and pretended it was him? Or is that something that's fictional for the movie that then became a real thing? I want to know that.
Bubba Gump Shrimp is an American seafood restaurant chain inspired by the 1994 movie.
Okay, so that was the one that was actually made up by the film. Right, okay. I'm glad that that's the case.
I'm just checking here where some of the actors that were portrayed to play some roles within this movie, because I totally forgot that we've not done any trivia really. But people that turned down the role of Forrest Gump, I don't know who this guy is. Chevy Chase.
You don't know who Chevy Chase is?
I recognise the name.
Oh man, he would have been fucking god awful in this. But you definitely know who Chevy Chase is, like the tall one for the Three Amigos. Like he's a comedy actor. Caddyshack and all that.
Bill Paxton was the first choice for the director, but the studio demanded someone with more star power.
I could see Bill Paxton doing this. I could definitely see that.
And the other two that were approached were Bill Murray,
right,
and John Travolta.
Oh God, this would be a different movie, like. But no, I just don't. This is one of those that anyone else, it just wouldn't have been the same with it. It just wouldn't have worked. Tom Hanks has got like a real innocence about him, which is weird considering what strange folk on the internet think that he's up to these days. But all these weird conspiracies about him with the single gloves and all that. But I think Tom Hanks is genuinely just like a very nice, innocent man, which really lends itself to playing this character, because what Forrest Gump ultimately is pure innocence, isn't he? Like, he's not got a single bad intention ever in his body, unless he sees someone touching Jenny, then he just fucking goes mental and starts smashing fuck out of them. But apart from that, he's not got a dark bone in his body.
And this is interesting for the role of Bubba. Originally was envisioned that John Goodman played the role of Bubba.
Right. Okay. So was the character no originally a black guy in the book then?
Not sure, but it says that John Goodman was. Where here, sir? Envision John Goodman. He was just in the book a 300-pound man.
Okay.
Actors to turn it down. Dave Chappelle.
I mean, I can see why he would turn it down.
Dave Chappelle said that he would turn down the movie because he thought the movie would just bomb at the box office. Ice Cube turned it down because he refused to play an idiot.
Fair enough.
But then he was on Friday where he was just a weedhead.
I know, but I think he doesn't. He wants, what he means is he doesn't want to play someone that's mentally handicapped, essentially, which the guy was.
There you go. Some little bits of trivia for you. We don't have Hunter with us here doing some extended research on this trivia that he normally does.
That 5 minutes before we start.
Well, listen, I didn't even give it 5 minutes before we started.
To be fair, I could have done something as well. There was only 2 years I could have put some work in, but I just parked my arse on this seat and expected you to do everything.
I forgot to, with about 5 minutes to spare, I thought, fuck, I better go and get ready.
But we're starting the back now, though. We're fucking here again, and we'll make sure we're here every week, and we'll fucking do something, talk about something.
Yeah, well, if you have managed to stumble through towards the end of this episode, thank you very much for giving us another go and listening again. You'll probably get a little bit better content in some previous episodes, so go back a couple, listen to a few more, hear the voices of the other morons, and hopefully we can entice them to come back in. But Daniel, the main question is, what the fuck are we going to watch next?
Well, we've not even scored the film, Kyle.
Is it anything other than a 5?
No, I'm not giving it. I'm giving it a 4.25.
4.25. Do you know what? I'd be quite happy with a 4.75 for this.
Sound. So 4.5 in the middle. Nice easy maths without Burnsley. We've given it a 4.5.
Yeah, well, let's message Burnsley and ask him if he can work it out for us.
I know what Dubs is going to do is we light up with a score for Instagram, so we'll add his score in before we put the official score out.
I'd have loved to have got Dubs on to talk about Who Framed Roger Rabbit, if it's something that he's watched recently.
Well, what we can do is we can get a retrospective for him next time he's on, because we only gave it a 2.9 or something like that. So it would be interesting to. I'll tell. Was that a podcast or a Skype episode? Twitch episode.
Twitch.
Okay. So we've not got it to go back and listen to it again.
I don't think so, but I can imagine. I'm assuming that I picked that movie.
No, that was back when it was on the votes, the Instagram votes. We didn't get to pick the movies back then.
Okay, because that's like a childhood favourite of mine, so I thought that would have been something that I'd picked, and I'm sure I would have scored it nice and high. Well, we've scored it at 4.5. Yeah. I think that's quite a good scoring for a movie that is wildly regarded as being one of the biggest movies ever. It would be interesting to hear how the likes of Burnsy and Hunter would score this one as well. I'm again assuming that Burnsy's watched this for the first time because he's not watched anything other than Sports Day.
I would be shocked if even between everyone for us, it's still, I think, even this would be 4s or more all round. It's pretty hard not to enjoy it.
So, back to my original question. What we watch next?
Well, my proposal is we get 8 films together and stick them up for a vote and let people vote for it. So we'll see if we can get the guys to contribute some films. If not, we'll just come up with 8 films that are kind of new, that are out. More recent films. We'll keep something more recent after doing an old movie this week.
Perfect. Then, the new Hunger Games has just come on Amazon Prime.
Oh, no sequels. We can't have sequels.
It's a prequel.
Oh, fuck. I've talked myself into a corner there. But this new Godzilla movie or whatever that's out in the sky, that'll do.
That's surely a sequel.
Well, a prequel's before, so at least it ties in with the story, so I can't really get away with that, but I just don't want to. I don't want to watch that.
There we go. Hunger Games will be on the list. That'll be my addition to it. But Daniel, nice to see you again. Nice to have us back in motion, even though you've not invited me to your day out in Rossi. But I'll just let that linger for a second. Wankers. That's it. That's all from us. As Morons bid you farewell.
You were sitting in Dave's flat like just on a weekday, and it was him that organised everything. Did they mention a word?
No invited me. I had too many beers. No want me there.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons.